This is Primetime Sports, WGNS Murfreesboro, on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSSports.com. The Prentice Alsop Heating and Air Coaches Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's Murfreesboro, on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSSports.com.
The Coaches Show is brought to you by Dr. Automotive, the cure for your car. Professional auto repair and maintenance from ASE certified mechanics and master mechanics. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com. I'm Danny Brewer. I'm extremely pleased now to be joined by Riverdale boys head basketball coach Michael Voss, a staple of the industry. Coach Voss, how are you?
I'm good, Danny. How you doing?
Quite well. You know, I mean, we got to think about all the positives. We got the holiday season's here, Coach. We got sunshine out today. It's a great day, right?
No, it is a good day. It's a really good day.
Let's talk a little bit about Riverdale basketball. Let's kind of indoctrinate folks a little bit about what's going on with the Riverdale roster. Tell me a little bit about some of the kids you got and kind of what the makeup of the Riverdale squad is this year.
So right now, when you look, the makeup is we're a lot of sophomores. You know, when we started the season before football guys got back, we were starting 4 sophomores and one junior. We had one senior dressing with us. But everybody else that played, basically, that would check into the game was a sophomore. Now that we've got football guys back, we're still starting the same group right now. You know, we're going to kind of see how things play out here here over the next few weeks, trying to get those football guys back into shape, because obviously it's completely different than football shape is completely different than basketball shape. So they got to kind of get back into it. But we picked up a little bit more age. We've got one more senior that we've added that in Malik Hicks that had transferred from Rockville. You know, Wayman was our junior that was with us. Now we add Braylon Burns to it, who's also a junior, but we're still not adding a ton of age. And so right now what we're kind of fighting at times is we've just got a lack of experience, and the only way to get experience is to play a little bit. So, you know, when you look at our overall roster, we've got those 4 guys, and then we've got 18 sophomores on the roster. You know, we've got them split up. About half of them are playing JV, and half of them are starting on varsity, and we just kind of roll it out and go from there. And again, when you look at how our season has gone so far, a lot of it has been we played pretty good teams. And again, just that lack of experience has gotten us with in all of our games right now. We're just kind of trying to figure out our way and figure out how we need to play. From a, you know, there's a big step up between being a freshman and a sophomore and being a junior and senior, and so we're trying to figure out how to match that intensity. At times we haven't. At times we've been fairly good. And then there's times where, like last night, you look and we get exposed a little bit because of some of the things we do.
Coach, talk a little bit about, you mentioned the football guys. Used to be old school, you always had that. You know, nowadays kids don't play. There's not as many multi-sport athletes, especially at the bigger schools. Do you think it's good for kids to play multiple sports?
I think it's great for kids to play multiple sports. I think the problem is now that when you look, like, every sport's year-round. Like, when you look at what we do from a basketball standpoint, you know, we play our season, which is 4 months long. We're practicing every day, but the preseason leading up to it is now all of a sudden more intense. You know, we have our guys in weightlifting every day, and you go to the floor almost every day to do some type of conditioning. We have our 3-man groups now that we do stuff with, and then when you go over, once you get into the spring, it's the same thing. You get 8 days of spring practice. You get you know, all of June and July if you want to practice, and you can play in June. I mean, there's not really any time off. And then when they're not playing with us, they're playing AAU with somebody. You look at football. Like, football has gone from basically those guys would start in May, and they would most of the time in June split time. July all the way up until the end of their season they were going, and then they would start conditioning. But now they've added 7-on-7 in, and all these kids are going all over the place and playing. Same thing with baseball. There's fall leagues now. You know, if you feel like they're playing up until November. One of the things that I think has hurt our athletes is the fact that all sports are year round. So we're all obviously pushing our sport, but it hurts participation some because of that. Because they feel, well, if I like football better than basketball, then I'm going to spend the majority of the time in that. You know, even in the off season, like that's where I'm going. If they're basketball first, like they could, you know, they spend time focusing on the ones that they like, which is understandable. But at the same time, I do think that it hurts participation some. I got the most football players that I've ever had this year since I've been at Riverdale, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing, but you know, we play the first 4 weeks we go the first 4 weeks of the season. We practice with the group we have, and then all of a sudden they get done, which, you know, I was hoping they'd be playing today. I'm okay with not getting those guys back until middle of December. That's just kind of the way it is. But at the same time, when you throw them back in, like it does kind of, you have to start reintroducing everything. And so that's where I think we have hurt ourselves a little bit with these two-sport athletes, because there's just not as many left anymore. And it's sad. I hate that that's the way it is. When I was growing up, I played 5 different things. I ended up playing soccer in college. Like that's just the guys that play multiple sports are getting fewer and fewer and far between, and I think it's hurting all of our athletics.
Let's talk about the kid you mentioned, Malik Hicks. You know, I'm glad to know that he's playing basketball for you because, you know, his daddy was a pretty good two-sport athlete. Mm-hmm. His granddaddy was, I don't know if you know about his granddaddy, Michael Hicks, starting point guard for Austin Peay. When they went to the Sweet 16, he made Dick Vitale stand on his head because Dick Vitale said, there's no way Austin Peay's winning. I'll stand on my head if they do. Doggone it if Michael Hicks didn't lead them into a victory there and into the Sweet 16. So you got to be excited about that kid because he does have some experience.
He's got some experience. He does, you know, and I coached his dad for a couple of months. I was still at Laverne when Mike was a freshman. And that was right before I took the assistant's job at Blackman that I ended up getting and staying at for a while. So I knew Mike already, and so, you know, last spring when he transferred in, Mike got in touch with me and we talked, and you know, Malik went with us a little bit this summer. Did some things, but again, you're talking about in June. There's football 7-on-7s. There's all kinds of stuff. So we had a little bit of rhythm. And he's been back a week, and you know, the thing I get on that I talked to Malik about is, look, we got to get you in shape. Like, you're going to have to learn how to practice basketball again. Like, it's part of it. And he's come in and he's tried to be good. Now, you know, he's, again, when you look last night, like, he's trying to guard quick guys and guys that are in basketball shape, and he ain't there yet. And so he gets frustrated a little bit at times, but at the end of the day, like, he's going to be okay. His experience is going to help us a lot with the experience he had coming from Rockville. And it's just going to take a little bit of time to get that experience developed and out.
Coach, talk a little bit about what you got coming up. I know that you've, 5 games into it, 6 games into it now, right?
We're 6 games into it. You know, you look at our schedule. We've played really good teams. You look at our schedule coming up. Next week we've got Smyrna at our place. Then we go to Station Camp. Then the week after that, we play the Tennessee Heat, which is a homeschool team, which is a really good team. And then in our Adidas shootout, we're playing Rossview, who's coming off a state tournament appearance. And then we play Innsworth the second day, which everybody knows about Innsworth. And now they've got the 7-foot kid that's transferred in. Like, we've got a very, very tough schedule coming up. And then after we get done with the Christmas break, we've got Hickman County and Franklin, 2 more state tournament teams. So, like, we've got a gauntlet in front of us. And the thing that I've talked to the guys about, and you know, it gets frustrating sometimes with them, and I understand it, but we're playing people who eventually that's where we want to be. And when you, again, look at our youth and look at who we are, we have to learn how to play at this level. If we really want to accomplish some of the goals we talk about, like we talk about being able to win districts and winning regions and what it's going to take to do it. Well, to do it, we're going to have to be able to play against teams like what we're playing. We're going to have to be able to compete and find ways to win those games. And when you're young, you get exposed early. That is just part of it. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to help us from a standpoint of you're not going to be able to say we haven't played people. You're not going to be able to say that we haven't played some of the best teams in the state. Like, it's going to help our development. It's going to help our future.
That's Michael Voss. He's building something over there at Riverdale. You want to see some good basketball, head on over there to Warrior Country and check out the Riverdale Warriors. Coach Voss, we appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Danny. I appreciate it.
The Coaches Show is brought to you by Dan France Concrete, a licensed and insured residential and commercial concrete construction contractor serving Middle Tennessee. That's Dan France Concrete.
Craig's Tax Service.
We perform tax preparation, individual tax returns, corporations, partnerships, and all your payroll bookkeeping needs.
Brandon Craig with Craig's Tax Service.